Fluent and Chill NFL edition. I'm Anthony K. I'm here with my main man, J Dub. Jermaine, how you doing, man?
Yo, what's going on? Talking some football.
Football is in full swing, the highs, the lows. I want to take a look back at week one and talk about what we noticed, some of the things we saw, some of the questions that we're going to have. And then obviously I want to preview week two. So let's start with team performance in week one. Was there a team, good or bad, that was your biggest surprise in week one?
I was really surprised about the Cowboys. I didn't expect to see what I had seen from them. And again, whenever I'm starting a conversation with the Cowboys, it sounds nuts, absolutely. But I was really surprised to see how sharp Dak was. I was really surprised to see how good he was in moving that offense up and down the field. CeeDee Lamb had a couple drops, but for the most part, he was really good. I thought the play calling could have been better, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what I thought it was going to be. That offense turned out to be a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I think that the Cowboys are going to be really good. I'm very much surprised with the Cowboys, and I think they're going to be really good this season.
I think they're going to be really good offensively. I have questions about their defense. I think people forget last season. Look, I don't think it was sustainable. But last season, before Dak got hurt, he was on pace to throw for like 7,000 yards. Again, I understand that probably is not sustainable, but that being said, he looked great. Amari Cooper looked like a true number one receiver. You're right. I think CeeDee Lamb had like 7 for 104. Ezekiel Elliott, everyone wants to say, well, they didn't, they only ran him 11 times. He didn't have a good, well, hold on. Last season, the Bucs only allowed one 100 rusher in the whole season. That was Delvin Cook.
Not one game, the entire season.
The entire season, one 100 rusher. And they brought back all 11 defensive players. All starters, all 11 starters.
Correct.
So to think that Zeke was going to have a big game is just crazy. So I think it was a conscious effort, because I don't think Dak throwing the ball 58 times is a recipe for success.
No,
you need to have some balance. But I think in this particular game, you got to see what the defense is giving you, and they were giving you passing lanes. They weren't giving you running, right?
Not to mention, you're talking about a guy in Dak. When you're throwing the ball that much, what you're doing is you're also setting yourself up for more bad things to happen when you're throwing the ball that much. And you're not getting everybody else involved offensively that you need to. And that is not a recipe for success. That's a recipe for disaster. So I don't think that that's something that they're going to be doing. I think that Kellen Moore saw what that front four was with Tampa, and the game plan was going to change. Absolutely. And it did. I don't think Zeke is going to only carry the ball 10, 11 times a game. They know that in order to go to where they need to go offensively, he needs to be involved in the offense, and he needs to be involved in the offense a lot. So
100%.
I think that was a micro. I think that was something small, and I don't think that's going to carry over to week two.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it's interesting. I've never heard. It's been a long time, because I had questions about what Dak we were going to see. I told you this. I never trust people coming back from injury. So he looked. It's one game, I get it, but he looked really good. That being said, have you ever heard so much positive come out of a loss for a team?
Especially with the Cowboys.
Especially with the Cowboys. Yeah, it's but again, you're playing the Bucs, and we've talked about this before. 22 starters from last season's Super Bowl team, and all of them came back on offense and defense. 11 on both sides.
Well, you got to remember too, Tone. Not only just 11 defensive starters coming back and 11 offensive starters. We're talking about the defending Super Bowl champs. Right. I mean, my biggest problem was, why are the Dallas Cowboys on opening night against the Super Bowl champs? Because I didn't think that this matchup was good for them at all. I thought that maybe this would be good for them in week 4, maybe week 5, where they had some games underneath their belt where now we could see that offense. It's probably humming at that point, and maybe that defense has gotten better. But to have them on opening night and to lose DeMarcus Lawrence now, he's out for 2 months.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's absolutely, their defense is going to struggle. But I was really surprised with the Cowboys offensively, and I think that they're going to be a good team. I'll tell you the other team that I was surprised with, and I was really surprised with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's going to be a really good team this year. I'm a huge fan of Joe Mixon. His ability to hit the gaps, his ability to get downfield. I love him as a running back, and I also love him coming out of the backfield, catching screen passes and things like that, making plays. I love what he's doing. And I think that the talk about Jamar Chase being a possible bust, I think we over with that. I think that's done.
He showed that he's at least one game in. He's not. I think everyone took his real look. He spoke honestly about having a little bit of trouble, in the preseason finding the ball because it didn't have the white line on it. And I think everyone took that story and ran with it. I think he was just being honest, and I think the story was overblown. Well, and what I saw in week one. Monday you said something to me because I said I still have question marks about their offensive line, and you said no, they're better. They're better than last year. So I went back and I watched the game again, and I didn't look at Joe Burrow. I didn't look at Joe Mixon. I focused on the offensive line. Yeah, they're doing something. Look, I still think they could get better, but yeah, they are better than last year. Like they are. Like it's clear that they're better than last year. And if we saw last year up until the injury, if you give Joe Burrow even a little bit of time. Right, he's a quarterback. He's a quarterback, and that was the other part too. With Mixon, to your point, he had no running lanes last year. Like he had a down year, but of course he's 3 guys on him in the backfield. He's going to have a hard time running the ball.
Absolutely,
you give him a little bit of space, right? He's good to go. So I'm interested to see how they do this week against my Bears.
Yeah,
I had it chalked as a win. I'm not so sure anymore.
Let's hold the phone on that now.
I'm not so sure anymore. I'll say my biggest one from week one, surprise. Unfortunately, it's a bad one. I was, maybe it's me. I was really surprised by the Packers and specifically Aaron Rodgers. I get it that he didn't really have a training camp, but a guy as good as he is, a veteran like him, I didn't think he needed a preseason.
Tone, I don't want to hear that. I'm not listening to that whole no training camp thing because Brady didn't play in the training camp. Brady didn't play
that's
either.
What I'm saying.
Not only did Dak didn't play in the preseason. I'm not listening to that. That's nonsense to me. And on top of that, this is year 16. This is not like this is a guy in year 2 or 3 who needs some work or needed some reps. He knows what he's doing. He's a vet. Tony,
I didn't think he
could have thrown the ball in the dirt 28 times and still had a better QBR than he had on Sunday. He was terrible.
His QB.
Do not let him off the hook, Tone.
No, that's what I'm saying. I would have thought because that was the defense that someone gave me and I said no. You actually made my point. I said there's no way a guy of Aaron Rodgers' caliber should have a 13.4 QBR, 133 yards, 2 interceptions. Do you know that 3 points is the lowest point total of an Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packer team in any game in all of his years, with the exception of a game that he left due to injury?
Since he got there, he has never played in a game.
Never.
Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me that since he got to Green Bay, which was in 2004, he has never played in a game where they have scored 3 points or less.
Or less. Other than a game that he left with an injury.
Like, no, he played the whole game. We're not talking about injury. He played the whole game. And
any game that he started, the Packers have never had a 3-point game. So that's how. I get it. It was one game. Everyone's going to say it was one game. It was this, it was that. But I mean, they looked really bad. They looked like a team. I don't know this for a fact. And maybe I'm starting something that I shouldn't. They looked like a team that didn't want to play together. He looked like a guy that wanted, as much as this was supposed to be his last dance, right? We heard the whole, this is my last dance and I'm going to play. Mm-hmm. He looked like a guy, like, I'm going to, use the basketball analogy again. He looked like James Harden in the first couple of weeks in Houston. Like that he just didn't want to be there. I
agree with that.
And he didn't come out, a few years ago, if you remember, RELAX. Everybody relax. He wasn't that guy after the game either. It was just like, like it seems like he's not in it, and that's trouble for Green Bay.
You know what it looks like to me, Tone, and I caught some heat for this. He looks like the guy in the marriage that our kids are seniors in high school. They're getting ready to graduate. When they graduate, this thing is over.
Yep.
But until then, we're going to hold this thing together, and we're going to do everything that we can to save face. When we get in front of our family, we're going to make it look like it's good. When in reality, I'm so over this. I am so over you. I'm over this whole thing. As soon as this thing is over, I can't get out of here fast enough. That's what he looked like, man.
I'm not going to cause any trouble because the kids have their midterms coming up next week, and I am just going to hold my breath until finals are done, and then I'm taking my my ball and I'm out of here. I'm
gone. Yeah. That's what he looks like.
Right.
He looks very I think the word is disinterested for me. That's what he looked like.
Yes, and that's never good. Now he's a professional. I hope they find a way. Because look, as much as I love the Packers to lose, I still want to see the best out of Aaron Rodgers. I still want to see the best out of the Packers, and that's not what we got. And maybe it's week one and we're over exaggerating. But
that's what I was going to ask you, Tone. I'm glad, really quick. I'm glad that you brought that up. Is it because they looked at New Orleans? Drew Brees is gone. Mike Thomas isn't there. Jameis Winston is now the quarterback. Do you think that they overlooked them? Do you think that they looked past them, maybe coming in with the attitude of, yeah, we can deal with these guys. We don't really have to give it everything. Because not just Aaron Rodgers. I thought the effort across the board with Green Bay was trash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't give up, what was it, 148 yards and 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Now, a lot of that is I've been singing the praises of Jameis Winston, as you know, in the Sean Payton offense, but even that surprised me. Right. Even that surprised me. So, yeah, I think the defense looked at it as, hey, it's a neutral site game, right? Mm-hmm. It's not even in New Orleans.
Nope.
We're not worried about their offense. We're going to outscore them. And the defense kind of played that way. And I think the offense, too, is kind of like, oh, I forgot. Because I think everyone forgets. This was a top 5 defense last year. Right? In every statistical category, they were top 5.
And they had Cam Jordan either, by the way. Don't leave that out.
Yeah. So you have a team that now you don't know what their offense was going to be, but you still have Alvin Kamara.
Yes, you do.
Right? Jameis Winston, I've said it, I'll say it again. I'm going to sing it, scream it from the rooftops. Jameis Winston is a good quarterback. Yes, Stop saying that he isn't. He is. Yes, so you got Alvin Kamara, you got Jameis Winston, and then you got a defense that's good. That's really good. So I think they may have overlooked them, which surprises me. Because like in basketball, I can see, Sacramento's coming to town. You got 82 games. You're like, oh, okay, this is a bit easy one. You let it in and you lose. You lose to the Kings. In football, any given Sunday, man, anything can happen. So it surprised me. But yeah, that it did feel like they kind of overlooked them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess hopefully they don't do that again. So last thing on week one, was there any specific individual performances that you saw that were good, bad, surprising that you feel we need to call up?
Well, the bad performances that I saw that I was not okay with at all. We talked about Aaron Rodgers a little while ago. That Tennessee offense, I was completely blown away with what they did. I was expecting so much more from them. We're talking about a team who had the league leading rusher in Derrick Henry. You get Julio, and Ryan Tannehill had looked so much better. I mean, they ran for 86 yards for the game. 86 yards for the game. I think they had 220 yards total offense. They were terrible offensively. I was very disappointed in Tennessee. Tennessee was a team that I was expecting, and I know it's week one, so I'm not gonna go overboard, but
yeah.
Tennessee was a team that I was expecting a lot more. So I'm thinking to myself, was that offense that bad, or is Arizona really that good?
So I'll say I think both, and here and it's Ryan Tannehill. My relationship with Ryan Tannehill is like yours with the Steelers. He keeps tricking me.
Oh.
He's in Miami, and I think he's not a very good quarterback. He goes to Tennessee, and I say, they shouldn't do this. They sign him to an extension. I go, that's a terrible move. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he looks good.
And then
so this year, I actually say, don't overlook Tannehill. He's good. And what does he do in week one? So if you want Tennessee to win, for anyone in Tennessee, I'm going to look at the camera. Just mail it in to me. I'll do the opposite. You tell me what you want me to say because he will do the opposite. And I don't know. Look, I don't know that this is true, but it seems like a lot of the good teams played like, hey, this is the last preseason game because we got 17 games now. Like I feel like they weren't just. I don't know, maybe not giving it their all is the wrong thing to say, but it's just I feel like they're easing into the season, which is weird. Like that's how it felt. Like even Henry, it felt like Henry was like, hey, 86 yards, yeah, times 17 games, yeah, that's okay. Those are pretty good numbers. But he's so much better than that. So now on the flip side, look, Chandler Jones, how often is he going to have 5 sacks in a game? That's probably not going to be. Sustainable.
Right.
But yeah, I think, the Arizona defense was the one team I told you in the NFC West, they're the wild card.
Yes,
because they have an offense and it's going to be their defense. Can that defense play the way they played? If they play that way against everybody,
yeah,
they're going to be in that conversation with San Francisco, with Seattle, with the Rams. Like, wow, does that division look good?
Yes,
wow,
it does.
Like, wow. And that is going to be so much fun to watch So especially when they play each other this year,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only reason why some of them are probably not going to have as good of a record as they should.
Right.
Because if you think about it, is there one team where you'd be like, no, they're going to get both games from their division? No, it's
Right.
like they're all going to get a split. I think they're all going
Absolutely.
to win their home game,
Right.
with the exception Arizona's going to win in Seattle, and Seattle's going to win in Arizona.
And they're going to smoke
Exception.
Seattle, by the way. They're not going to
They're
beat
going to kill
Seattle.
it.
They're
Yeah,
going to
it'll be like 30,
smoke them.
yeah, 32-7 or something. Yeah, I still don't understand that, but
They absolutely are. No
any
question.
good? What about
it.
good? What about good ones that got overlooked? Any good performances? You're like,
Yeah, man.
we're not talking enough about this.
Yeah, my man Debo Samuels, man. He went for 189 yards yesterday. On Sunday, he was awesome. Jalen Hurts was really good as well. Matthew Stafford, I can't reiterate this enough. As much as I talk down about him and his record and all of that other good stuff, Tony had a 156 passer rating. That's numero uno, not for Patrick, not for Matthew Stafford.
Okay, he was passing against a bunch of DB pylons, though.
Nope, Tone, I'm not letting you off the hook with that. This is opening day, okay? That means that your boys who are supposed to be out there are out there.
Horrible. The Bears brought in 5 defensive backs this week. That's how bad it is.
Wait a minute, in week 2. I just got the job. Tone, you already interviewing somebody else for my job. I just got it.
They called up Dion. They're desperate, man. They're like, hey, forget coaching. You did great at Jackson State, but
you already calling somebody else in from. I just got the job. We just got finished with week 1. I just got the job, and you already interviewing other people.
Let me tell you something. And this is, I said this at the time. I'm gonna say it again. And yes, I'm gonna beat a dead horse. They let their best defensive back, their best corner, Kyler Fuller, go so that they could sign Andy Dalton. And what's their issue right now? They have the wrong quarterback starting, and they don't have any cornerbacks. It was I say this all the time. If Ryan Pace does something good, like trading up and getting Justin Fields, I will give him his praise. Mm-hmm. But let's not forget, this is the same guy who wanted Marcus Mariota but didn't sign him. Signed Mike Glennon, drafted Mitch Trubisky, signed Nick Foles. This guy does not deserve a general manager job of one of the most historic franchises in the NFL. I'm sorry.
Are you saying, Tone, that he doesn't know what he's doing? Is that what you're saying, Tone?
I think he makes a lot of bad decisions when it comes to quarterbacks. You don't allow your best. Your weakness is defensive backs. You know that. You're looking at the room, and you know that's your weakness. You let your best corner go so that you can sign a vet quarterback that you don't need.
Journeyman, by the way. A journeyman, by the way.
It's not. It doesn't. No, yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Pace. I'm sorry to the Bears organizations. Yeah. You guys, everybody knows how much I love the Bears. I do a show called Monsters of the Midweek every week where we just talk Bears football. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Pace is a problem. And if he's not on the hot seat, he should be.
That's fair. That absolutely is
but
fair.
Debo, I want to go back to Debo because Debo, no one's talking about Debo. No one's talking about him. And he had a game. Yes, he had a game, and Jalen Hurts, I'll be the first one to admit that I had written off the Eagles. I said it's over. This division's going to be between Dallas, and then it's going to be I thought Dallas has the division in the East, and then it's going to be a toss-up between the Giants and Washington, who's going to be second. Now with Washington losing Fitzpatrick, Jalen Hurts looking the way he looked, now I'm like, well, now I think it's a three-horse race between Dallas, Philadelphia, and the Giants. I think the Giants will be better. I know that.
I do.
I think the Giants will be better.
You talked about Jalen Hurts. It's interesting you mentioned that because the more I watch Devontae Smith, I see a young Marvin Harrison. The ball just finds him. And he makes plays. And he's going to be that guy who you're going to look at the stats because he doesn't look like he's much. No. He's not that big. He doesn't have blazing speed. But then you're going to look at the stat line, and it's going to say 6 catches for 142 yards, 7 catches for 138 yards. You're going to be like, "What the hell game was I watching?" And you're not going to pay a lot of attention to this guy. But he's lining up in the slot. He's lining up wide out. The ball just finds him, and he's going to be really good. For Jalen Hurts, he's going to be great for him.
I think the two of them together are going to develop really nice. And it's funny. We talk about these. We're always enamored by the big receivers. Oh, he's 6'5". He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He could catch everything. But guess what? There's another receiver who was small, and he was on pace to becoming maybe one of the best receivers ever before some off the field issues.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, did Antonio Brown look good with that Tampa Bay offense this week.
He looked like Antonio Brown.
Right?
That's what he looked like. He didn't look like a wide receiver. He looked like Antonio Brown, and that a lot of that came from. I've said this before, Tone, and you've played basketball. You know how it is. Confidence is everything, and the professional athlete, his confidence is there's a thin line between this and this. So when Antonio Brown has a guy like Tom Brady telling him, "I'm coming to you, I'm coming to you," that brings his confidence through the roof, where he's thinking, maybe I am still that guy. I do still have it. Let me get back on my job. And he looked, in terms of his route running, in terms of his go routes, he just looked like Antonio Brown, the guy from Pittsburgh that was telling that offensive coordinator, if you're not involving me in the offense, you can't win. That's what he looked like.
When a player, the GOAT quarterback says to you, I want you on my team. Come stay at my house. I need you to win. I'm going to throw you the ball. How can you not feel it gave me a flashback. Even just saying it, I immediately thought to, and there's other examples, but I thought of that one timeout where you hear Jordan and Kerr says, hey, they're going to collapse on you. I'll make the shot. And Jordan's like, yep, I'm going to get you the ball. You make that shot. If I'm on a team and Jordan goes, hey, you're going to be wide open. I'm going to get you the ball. You're going to make it. Man, I don't feel like I can miss. Absolutely. And that, I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Tom Brady telling you, you're the guy. How can you not? And that's how he played. So let's jump forward now, because we've got to talk about week 2. There's a couple of matchups and question mark teams that I want to ask you about, and then we can talk about some other stuff that you're looking forward to. But there's 3 specific ones I want to. Mm-hmm. The Bills lost a game that everyone thought they were going to win. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest with the Bills were the cream of the crop. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to challenge the Chiefs. Now they got the Dolphins this week, who's a tough defensive team, played a really tight game. They always play the Patriots tough. What are we going to see from the Bills? Was week 1 just, hey, they need to, I don't know, get over that. We're the best. We're the favorites. Oh, maybe that was a good kick in the teeth to get them going.
I thought that was a grind out game. And what I'm not on the fence about is I'm not on the fence about Josh Allen being a great quarterback. So last season was not an anomaly. I think Josh Allen is on his way to being a great quarterback. I saw him revert back to the season before on Sunday. He looked like the Josh Allen from 2 years ago. I don't think that's going to happen. Now they threw different things at him defensively, and he looked a little confused, and he was running for his life too in the pocket. They stayed on him. However, to get Stephon Diggs more involved in that. Now that Buffalo offense, that running game, I'm still having a difficult time with why they don't have a solid running game, because that's going to be a problem down the road, Tone.
I was going to ask you. That's my biggest concern with Buffalo.
That's going to be a problem with these guys down the road, because Josh Allen is not going to be able to throw the ball 45, 50 times a game and not just not be efficient, but because they're going to put 8, 9 guys in the box, and they're going to put not 8, 9 guys in the box. I'm sorry. They're just going to line up in 4-3 and just, you're not going to run the football against us. So we'll double Diggs and we'll double your tight end. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly that offense, in terms of them running the football, what they're going to do. But I do think that Josh Allen is the real deal. He did revert back to what he was doing, and he's not on the same level with Pittsburgh in terms of tricking me, because I don't think that. I do think Josh Allen is the real deal, but they got to get that run game shored up, man. They have to get that run game shored up in order to continue to move the football down the field. Now, playing against Miami, we all know who I've watched Tua, and I think that Tua is going to be a solid quarterback. He looks to me like I put him in the same category with guys like Marcus Mariota. I don't think that he's going to be great, but with that being said, that defense in Miami is really good. With Xavier Howard, he looks like a guy that he looks like kind of like how Richard Sherman was or how Ramsey was, where he's cutting the field in half. But when you talk about a team like Buffalo with that offense that they have in terms of the wideouts, it's going to be difficult for Miami, and it's going to be a great test for them. No question about that.
I think, it's funny. I wasn't high on Pittsburgh this season offensively, because I don't know what I'm going to get from Roethlisberger. However, I did like their defense. So I'm not surprised that they played the Bills well. What I'm looking forward this week, is look, Howard's probably going to be on Diggs, right? He's going to make Diggs like so. I think it's going to show how big of an acquisition Emmanuel Sanders was. I think Emmanuel Sanders needs to have a big game, and I think they need to figure out how to run the ball. I don't like either one of their backs, Moss, I think, and Singletary. I'm not. I get it. It's a committee backfield. That makes me nervous. Can they find a way to run the ball? Because they're going to need to. But I think you're going to see, if they're going to be successful, Emmanuel Sanders is going to have a big game. And I think Knox, the tight end, Dawson Knox, he's another one that's going to have to play well for them. I think they win. I think they go. I think they might have lived in their own heads a little bit, and they're the best. And I think it was, we're better than Pittsburgh. We can and I think they got kicked. Like I said, I think they got kicked in the team.
Were they reading the paper? Is that what they were doing?
I think social media. They were on their phones a little too much, and I think it's a good thing. I think teams that are favored to win need to get that, whether it's early or in the middle of the season. Hopefully not late, but they need to get that. Hey, we're not, like, I'll tell you. I go back. Like, I'm going way back. The '85 Bears, right? Were undefeated. They're playing the Miami Dolphins, who's the only undefeated team. And they were like, we're good. Mike Ditka was really cocky. They're giving the ball to, defensive linemen to the fridge to, run in touchdowns. And Miami came in and beat them.
They had no business losing to Miami. They had none. No business losing to them.
And but I think that sparked, because then when you look what they did after that and through the playoffs, they needed that loss. Yeah. You don't want to lose late. Like, you don't want to lose like the Patriots, an undefeated season in the Super Bowl. That's not when you want to lose. But I think those types of losses might be good for the Bills. Like, hopefully they figured it out. So I think they get the win this week, but I think it's also going to be a closer game than people think, because I think Miami's a really strong defensive team. So I think it'll be tight. The next one is, the Cowboys don't get any breaks. They got the Bucs in week 1. They play really well. And now they go up another really good defensive team that's going to get after the quarterback, and a team that can score in the Chargers. So do we take that moral victory against the Bucs, and do we see the same effort from the Cowboys again, or are they starting 0-2?
They could very well start 0-2, because, as you know, Tone, I bleed 49er red. If I wasn't a 49er fan, I would be rocking a Justin Herbert jersey. I think that he's going to be the best quarterback.
And the powder blue, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's got to be the powder blue.
Absolutely rocking. I'm not rocking the white. I'm not rocking the gold. I'm rocking the powder blue. No question about that. I think he's going to be the best quarterback in the game in the coming years. No question about it. Keenan Allen, his ability to run routes, they're going to have to, and with that Cowboy defense, they're going to have a really difficult time with these guys. I'm looking at that defense with the Chargers and how they basically, it's not really saying much because it was Washington, but how they stifled them. And they got a really good test coming up with these Cowboys, because the Cowboys are loaded offensively. But I think that I was about to say San Diego. I'm sorry. I think that the
LA Chargers.
Yeah, I was about to say San Diego. I think that the LA Chargers, I think that they beat the Cowboys this week, because I just love Justin Herbert's ability to deliver in the pocket, to read the defense, his ability to look downfield, his ability to get the ball downfield. And he's awesome in the red zone. He's even better in the red zone. So the Cowboys got a big time test this weekend coming up. Big time. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost.
If this was still a Phillip Rivers Charger team, I would say they'll find a way to lose. Yes. They'll miss a kick at the end. So, I don't know. This team feels a little bit different. So the Cowboys need the win, because Philadelphia won. They want to take control of that division. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost. And for those that play fantasy, pick up some Chargers players, because they're going to score some points this week if you don't already have Cowboy players. So you brought up Washington, and we've both used Marcus Mariota's name already in this conversation, which is odd. So before I get to the third game that I wanted to ask you about in the third team, does he make sense in Washington? Should they be calling up the Raiders and saying, hey, like, we need a quarterback? I don't think it's going to be Cam. I think, I think Cam makes the most sense, but I think Ron Rivera picking, I forget the name of the quarterback he picked, but he picked someone over Cam. I still think that relationship might be soured. But I think Marcus Mariota actually makes sense in Washington. Or do you think they're going to go with Taylor?
Heineke?
Yeah.
Did I say that right? I don't know. I don't want to screw his
I
name
say
up.
everyone's last name wrong. So
Yeah.
you know what? No one can pronounce my last name, so I figure I can pronounce everybody else's
I
wrong.
don't want to screw his name up. But
Yeah.
when I think about Marcus Mariota, I can't say with 100% certainty. So, like, for example, we talked about Jameis. I think Jameis is a starter in the NFL. I don't think Jameis is a 50-50. I think he's a starter in the NFL. I don't know if Marcus Mariota is a starter in the NFL. And if he is he a starter on a playoff team? Because his ability to read defenses, not and most importantly, and you know how I am, Tone, about health. Your best ability is your availability. Marcus Mariota stays hurt. He's always beat up. Now, we're talking about an NFL where it's quarterback friendly, where you don't have to, you don't get a chance to put your hands on quarterbacks nearly as much as you did 15, 20 years ago. So for a guy not to be upright as much as he can be or as much as he should be, I worry about that with Marcus Mariota, not to mention his ability to read defenses, his ability to stand in the pocket and make big time throws. We're talking about the number 1 overall pick, right? So with a guy that's that good, not the number 1 overall pick, he wasn't. That's not true. That was I think that was Jameis that year when he came out. But even still,
No, but he was a high draft pick with
yes, he
high
was.
expectations.
Yes, he
I
was.
know what you're saying.
And we're talking about a guy who, as a starting quarterback, you can't make mistakes, especially when you're on a playoff team. You can't make big time mistakes, and he does. So if I'm Washington, I may take a look. I may go kick the tires. I may pop the hood and listen to the engine run, but I'm not really sure if he's our guy.
Yeah, but Washington really seems to like the players seem to want Taylor Hickey.
Yeah,
They like him. They like him. So maybe
Chase
he had
Young
a nice.
loves him.
He played
Chase
well.
Young, Chase Young loves him.
Chase Young's his biggest fan.
Yes, Young loves him.
Look, he played well in the playoffs last year. So hey, let's. I say let's give him a shot because what else is out there really?
Right.
So the last game, and this is an interesting one because I'm actually not curious about the team I'm going to mention first. However, the team this is the opponent. There's a team that we saw last in week 1, who looked like a different team in the first half than we saw in the second half. And they put a ton of points on your 49ers in the second half. So the Lions, I don't know which Lions team we're going to get, the first half Lions or the second half Lions, but they've got the Green Bay Packers coming in. So Green Bay played, as we talked about already, not very well against the Saints. They're now coming against a division rival in the Lions who, did something click in the second half against the 49ers and they figured it out? Or was it just a lucky half because the 49ers took it easy on them because they had such a big lead? So I don't know what Lions team we're going to see. But if we see the same Green Bay team that we saw against the Saints, they could lose this game to the Lions too.
Sound the alarm. We don't have a 3 alarm tone. We don't have a 4 alarm. We got a 5 alarm. If we see the same effort, I don't care if Green Bay doesn't win the game. If I see the same effort, 5 alarm fire we have here. We don't have a 2 alarm. We got a 5 because now I got to start thinking about what's going on with the coach. Did this coach lose this team this early? Are these guys already out on what they're doing? Because the motivation factor just doesn't look like it's there. That Detroit team, my 49ers let them off the hook. I'm not sold on the idea that Detroit just automatically turned it on with I believe he's called Jared Goof. Not Jared Goff.
No, Jared Goff.
They call him Jared Goof. So I think that my 49ers let them off the hook. I think that was an anomaly. I don't think that you see that again. I would be very surprised if I saw the same effort from Green Bay last week that I see this week, particularly against the Lions, because considering what you just got finished dealing with New Orleans, you would think that, okay, we definitely not looking past Detroit. No matter how bad we think they might be, we are absolutely not looking past them, and we have to bring the effort that we should have brought against New Orleans. So I don't think that they lose this game. But if they were to lose this game, the thing that I'm more concerned with is the effort.
It's interesting because things are not copacetic in Green Bay because I think you have a locker room divided. I strongly believe
already, Tom?
Oh yeah, and here's why. Because I believe since day one, since they hired Matt LaFleur, that it was you're either a Rodgers guy or a LaFleur guy. And I don't think that has changed. And I don't think they did enough to bring the team together. And I think it's always been that. And I think this offseason, made that gap wider between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now you have some of the players, right, that are like, hey, I want to, Rodgers is our starting quarterback. We believe in him. There's other guys who are like, hey, Matt LaFleur's our coach. We believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's causing a divide. Now, I could be wrong. It's 1 week. But what I saw from the offseason, what I saw from the preseason, what I saw in week 1 looks like a team that's divided, and that's trouble for any team. So do they say, hey, we need to – and here's the problem with not having a head person here, right? Because there's no owner, right? It's the city owns the team. You need someone to step in and either say, hey, you two guys in a room, let's hash this out.
Mm-hmm.
Or make a decision and say, hey, Rodgers, you still have 3 good years left, 5 good years left. Mm-hmm. You're our quarterback. LaFleur's gone. Let's pick a coach together. You need to make that decision early. You can't let this linger. Or you need to say, you know what, Rodgers, you wanted out. We wanted to keep you, but you're right. You need to go. And they trade him. Mm-hmm. And even in week 2, week 3, I know that sounds crazy in the NFL, but I think you let those two, if this is the case, you let those two keep butting heads. You keep fighting in front of you talked about the kids going after. You keep fighting in front of the kids. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to be forced to pick a side, and then then no one wins in that case.
Nobody. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm scared that they are today. So those are the 3 I wanted to talk about. The other thing. So I want to hear what you're looking forward to in week 2. For me, I'm looking for proof. And what I mean by proof is, 1, is the NFC West as good as we think they are? Because they're 4-0 as a division. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think they are. Are the New Orleans Saints for real? Mm-hmm. Was that just a good game? The beauty is Green Bay is playing the Lions, so we're going to get a win out of the NFC North. So that's good. They're not going to remain. If they all started 0-2, there'd be probably, although there could be a tie, I guess, technically. Are the Eagles for real? Right? For me, it's all these guys. Are the Bengals for real? Because they looked good, right? Vegas looked good, the Raiders. Houston won a game, but it was against Jacksonville. So, do they come back down to earth? Those are the games I want to see. Like, are you guys legit, right? Was it just a week 1, kind of fluky game? So the big one, I'm looking for Vegas. I'm looking for Philadelphia. And I'm looking for the Bengals. I want to see – I don't want them to win, granted, of course, but I want to see, are you for real? Because they've got some pieces that I like.
Absolutely.
Right? Like T. Higgins is Jamar Chase. And we just forgot about Tyler Boyd.
Completely forgot about him.
And Joe Mixon. They've got, and obviously Joe Burrow. They've got an offense that can compete in this league. They're young. They're dynamic. They have some opportunities. So what are you looking for in week 2?
I'll tell you what, Tone. I was disappointed in my offensive rookie of the year was Kyle Pitts. I fell in love with Kyle Pitts down here in Florida. So I thought he had me actually thinking that Trash was better than Mac Jones. So I'm looking forward to seeing Kyle Pitts this week. I mean, he had 4 receptions for 31 yards. I think that he gets more involved in this offense this week. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm looking forward to seeing the AFC West. I know that Kansas City is the real deal. I already know that because they went 4-0 too. I'm interested to see if that continues with Denver. Denver won, and I mean they beat a good. I think that Giants team is a lot better than what people are giving them credit for, and I think that they're going to bounce back. But Denver, I'm looking forward to the AFC West and seeing what it is that they bring, and are they the real deal? And most importantly, was that an anomaly last weekend? Are they the real deal? Because I'm not saying to myself, yo, Chandler Jones is the best defensive player in the game. Whoa. I'm not expecting him to go for 5 sacks, and I'm not expecting that team to march up and down the field offensively the way they did. However, I'm looking forward to seeing what Arizona does this weekend. And do I need to start paying attention more to them? Because don't get me wrong, they're in the NFC West, so I pay attention to them as it is. But do I need to pay more attention to them than I already do? Because my 49ers, we've actually had really good success against them. But do I need to pay more attention to them? So I'm looking forward to what they do.
A lot has been made about your new running back, Elijah Mitchell. I still think Sermon's going to be the guy, but how big of a hit is it, Mostert, losing him for pretty much the season? Do you think they can – it's I hate to say it, it's 49ers again. The injury bug is –
I wouldn't even say the injury bug, Tone, more than it's Mostert is the same. I look at Mostert the way you look at Baker. That's how I look at him.
Okay.
When he's in our offense and he's healthy, we are dynamic. But he can't stay upright. Last season, 8 games he played. This season, he didn't even last. He barely got one game in. So the question that I'm asking is do we move forward? Do we move off this guy? Do we move on from him? Because I don't think that we can count on him go in the future.
Yeah, like you're talking about next season.
I don't think that we could count on him in the future because your best ability is your availability. In the last 2 seasons, he's only played 9 games. Now, I can say, Frank Gore tore his ACL twice, but Frank was a tank though. That's why you call Frank the tank. So, with that being said, I think it's time to move on from Mostert. No question about that. And our running back core, the way Shanahan draws the offense up. We go run just like with Buffalo. We go running back by committee, but I think that's going to help us because the way Shanahan's offense is. I mean, that's going to help us tremendously.
I feel like since Shanahan got there, though, I feel like not that it doesn't matter which running back is in there, but I just feel like their offensive run game. I think as long as you have someone with some talent. It reminds me of Denver back in the day. Whoever you plopped in there was going to rush for 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? So I think as long as they can get someone or a committee of people who can stay healthy, can stay in the game, and they're consistent, I think the running game is going to be fine.
Well, I think that's Shanahan's system because if you think about it, Tone, you do remember in Washington, Alfred Morris led the league in rushing. Who was Alfred Morris? I'm sorry. Yeah, we haven't heard from him since. That was in Shanahan's system. So I think it's the system with Shanahan more than it's actually the player. And if Mostert, if he could have stayed healthy, man, I think we'd still be marching the way we are. But
yeah, I think they're fine from a fantasy perspective. For those that want to watch Fantasy Fluent, I talk fantasy every week. I got to say this because you brought up Arizona. I want to see my one fantasy Christian Kirk, the wide receiver from Arizona, because I picked him. I'll tell everybody, if you haven't, go pick him up on waivers. Mm-hmm. I did. I want to see if he's for real too, because he's one of the, you got to look at those guys with, there's going to be attention to DeAndre Hopkins, right? AJ Green, I think AJ Green isn't the player he used to be.
No.
But Christian Kirk's the guy that can kind of stretch the field. So from a fantasy perspective and from a football thing, right? They've got weapons in Arizona too. So let's see if that persists. So that's it for Fluent and Chill NFL edition. So on Fridays, don't forget to check out the NBA edition on Wednesdays. This week we're talking about the 70s, and we're going to be taking a look at another division in the Eastern Conference. We're going through each division, each decade of basketball. That's Wednesdays on Fluent and Chill. Until next week.
Take it light. We'll take it.